Absolute chaos is escalating around the world right now. And unless you're sleeping under a rock, like what's going on right now is horrific. And what I want to speak to you about today is coming from the perspective of a business owner and an entrepreneur, not from a political angle, nothing to do with the war itself. It's some information that I was presented with just over a year ago that I want to share with you all because I think it is really valuable to you on your own journey. And I think sometimes there can be a big disconnect between where we're at right now and where we see the wealthy at. And I don't think the disconnect is as big as you think it is. And I want to present to you what some sort of things are that you can do, which are the same as what the incredibly wealthy are doing. So firstly, a lot of this information, I just want to tell you where I got it from. So my husband and I went to an event organized by Success Resources, which was hosted by, like the main guy of it was Robert Kiyosaki. If you don't know who he is, he's the author of Rich Dad Poor Dad. But alongside him were also worldwide financial advisors, his financial advisor. There were experts in AI, crypto, investments, lots of kind of different people there. Now, anything I'm going to share with you is nothing Islamic. This event was not an Islamic event by any means. But there was one thing specifically that I took away from this event that I have really been trying to focus on for myself, my family, and I want to share it with you because I think it's something that we should all kind of consider, especially with everything that's going on right now. And the thing was specifically about wealth and money and how the goal of the super wealthy is not to make as much money as they can. It's to provide a kind of safety net to be able to move around where in times of chaos, in times of economy crashes, in times of war. And they basically said that the goal of the wealthy is passports. The value is in passports and residency. So not passports alone, because for some countries there's only so many passports that you can have, but the residency and the ability to move between countries. And I'm sure you've kind of heard of the wealthy having some money in this country and some money in this country, you know, and your belief of it, your understanding of it has always been for tax purposes. Now, I'm not going to write off the tax purposes completely because it is a very valid point that you can be much more tax efficient when you distribute your wealth. But it's not just about tax purposes. They were explaining that the ability to be able to move when there is either an economic crisis or a war is a protector for their finances, but also a protector for them individually. And this concept of having residency in multiple countries allows you to be able to move whenever you want and to be free, because it doesn't matter which country you're from or which country is considered as stable right now. If you see what's going on in the world right now, things can change and escalate extremely quickly. And when they do, it doesn't matter where you're from. The ability to relocate is very different of the ability for you to be able to go on holiday and visit a country. Most people's passports will give 90 days. If you have I'm going to say a decent passport, I don't mean that to be offensive to anyone who doesn't have a passport that allows them to travel, but I mean a passport that gives you the ability to travel to multiple countries. Usually the maximum duration is 90 days. Some of them less. Some of them is 28 or 30 days. Now that would not save you in a time where you need to permanently relocate, because permanently relocating takes specific strategic steps that you need to put into place for you to actually gain your residency. And so it's something that really left quite strongly with us as a family after we were there. And we started to think about, let's put this into place. Let's put ourselves in the position where we are able to up and leave should we need to. And I think one of the reasons why most of us don't think about that is because we see a really huge divide between where we're at right now in comparison with the mega wealthy. And the reality is you don't need to be mega wealthy to be able to put this into place. There are certain things that you need to have and that you need to plan for and that you need to consider. And I will try and share some of those with you in this video. but it's really not impossible. And actually, it does involve letting go of some of your worldly possessions, the things that you feel are so important and so valuable to you. But that's only because we've been conditioned to think that these things are really important. And ultimately, considering this dunya is very temporary, these things really aren't as important as the weight that we hold for them based on what has been considered as the norm. So whether that is property, the owning of property, if you even own property, education systems, healthcare systems, family, like there's so many different things that we hold on to because they're safe, because we think that they're safe. And we're taught that these things are safe, but they're really not safe if things within one country change very suddenly. And I can see a rapid movement across the world right now. Specifically as well, even just within the UK, in terms of crime and in terms of the cost of living and how people are struggling in a different way and just the attitude of people in general. And so having the ability to move around is much more safe, in my opinion. Remember, this is only my personal opinion that I'm sharing with you based on information that I have gained as knowledge. We're all going to make our own decisions. But the ability to be free to move around, to me, is much more safe than the security of having everything that keeps us feeling comfortable, because that's all it is. All it is keeping you comfortable in a world that's temporary. And so this comfort, like, what does it really mean when our only goal is Jannah? Our goal is not of the worldly possessions or the things that we own here. Now, I'm not saying you should go and throw yourself, I don't even want to use the term I was going to use, it was a very British one. Don't cause damage to your circumstance unnecessarily, okay? Have a plan, be strategic with it, and there's certain things that I want you to consider that I have found made a huge difference. So, please remember, I'm talking from an entrepreneurial perspective. As someone that doesn't have their own business or is not an entrepreneur, there are absolutely other ways that you can still do this. But this is my area of expertise. It's what I've done. And so it's specifically this that I'm sharing with you. I have 3 businesses. And 2 of those businesses are in-person businesses with a fixed location. And there is no way that with those 2 businesses alone that I would have the ability to do what I'm doing right now, because you also need to be having an income, and you also need to be able to have an income coming into multiple countries. This is ultimately the goal. And so what I have set up is my online coaching business to be registered in the UAE, so that the money that I have coming in for this comes into the UAE. So I have money coming into the UK, I have money coming into the UAE, and I wouldn't say split residency, because the UK has recently changed its laws. So you have to abide by the law. I'm doing everything legally. But I would call the UAE my home. But in terms of the ability to travel, my children also have Algerian passports, as does my husband. We have British passports, and we have residency here. Now, I'm being quite transparent. I don't normally share this amount of detail with you, but I'm doing it because I really think it could help you on your own journey. And so really, we are in a position to be able to choose at the moment between 3 countries to live in. We have the ability to move. And so what did it take? Well, it took the setting up of one of my businesses in another country. And that's not impossible to do. Now, I personally have done this through building an online business, through building a coaching business, and through scaling that coaching business to be able to bring in enough income to be able to make that a possibility. My husband has his business that is running. We do separate things, and that's absolutely amazing because that actually gives us security in 2 countries. And having an online business that still gives me that freedom to travel is great. So at the moment, right now, we are in June 2025, if you're listening to this. My residency in the UAE requires me to not be out of the country for more than 6 months at a time. Think of the flexibility that gives me. So it's the setting up of the company that has given us that freedom to be able to have money in multiple countries. So something like this means whatever happens in the world right now, I'm not saying we will 100% be safe, because Allah is the best of all planners. Allah knows what our future looks like. But I believe personally that we should have, I believe we shouldn't have borders, to be honest with you. I know that might be a controversial opinion. I don't think we should have passports or borders. We should be free to travel. It's planet Earth. Allah created planet Earth. Like, the fact that humans have come in and put these kind of borders in place and restrictions in place, I don't agree with that at all anyway. But aside from that, it is how it is. That is how the world works. You should have the freedom to be able to move around. No single country should make you feel trapped that you can't leave, and especially that you can't relocate. So think about how you can have a residency in another country. For example, there are many countries that you can register businesses in. And yes, there are often real good tax incentives in doing that as well. So have a think about what that could look like, and have a think about how much money would you need to be making for that to be a possibility. Because, as I said, ultimately, it's not about necessarily the making of money. It's about what that money gives you access to. And when that money gives you access to freedom, and for me, the biggest freedom is the freedom of choice and the freedom to practice my faith in a way that I choose. No amount of money can take that away. But sometimes it takes money to be able to achieve that. And I don't think we should shy away from the fact of talking about money in the first place. So I just want to leave this thought with you as to what that could potentially look like. And for a moment, before you start fearing all of what about the education for my children? What about my home? What about my elderly parents? What about all of these things? You're not relocating to one place for the rest of your life necessarily. You are giving yourself the option to be able to do that. And I think that's something that I just want to share with you, because when you stop to think about that and you stop to think about the safety of which one is more safe, being stuck and secure in one country or having the freedom to travel amongst multiple countries, which is the more safe option in your mind? And we may have different opinions, and that's absolutely fine. And I'm not here to try and convince anybody. I just wanted to share my own kind of journey over the past kind of couple of years. I would say 2-3 years of how my mind has shifted on what safety really looks like and what that really means, and grounding my faith at the foundation of every decision that I'm making. So I hope it's been a little bit useful for you. I hope that it's making you think a little bit, and please go off and do your own research. Remember, just because these guys have said something, it doesn't mean it's the only way. And definitely it was not, I left this event thinking, oh yes, I want to do that. It just made me think. And I think sometimes we don't get enough space we don't get enough space to be able to think, because we're constantly bombarded with alternative messaging, with an agenda. And only you can break yourself free from that agenda and think for yourself. And sometimes it takes you to just detach yourself from everything and sometimes people around you to be able to think freely. So inshallah, this was helpful. Please do let me know in the comments. I would love to hear your own thoughts. If you're not already following me across on Instagram, if you want to speak directly, please do. Women only. And if you are looking to potentially scale your own coaching business to be able to have this, or you want to understand more about what this would look like for you, or if you even have the potential to be able to scale, please do reach out to me. I will put the link in the description below. Pleasure is all mine, ladies. Assalamu alaikum.